Welcome. We are embarking on a detailed analytical examination today, reviewing the core psychological mechanisms of influence and compliance.
Our focus will be the foundational work provided in Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert B. Cialdini.
And it's important to note, for you, our technically minded listener, that this analysis has been professionally structured and, in fact, generated by an artificial intelligence model.
That's to ensure the highest fidelity to the source text. Our mission here is to methodically go through the 7 core principles of persuasion.
We'll be breaking down the original 6 universal principles, that's reciprocation, liking, social proof, authority, scarcity, and commitment and consistency.
And we'll also integrate the crucial later addition, which is the principle of unity.
So let's begin with the foundation. This is the idea that we rely on automatic responses, which Cialdini identifies as fixed action patterns.
These are complex sequences of behavior that occur mechanically. They're almost like pre-installed programs inside an organism.
The famous mother turkey experiment is the perfect illustration of this.
It is. A mother turkey will viciously attack a stuffed polecat, which is its natural predator. But if that same replica emits one single trigger sound...
The cheep cheep of a baby turkey.
Exactly. The mother will then accept the predator. She'll even gather it underneath her. The behavior is controlled completely mechanically. It's a click-run response.
And this mechanical system is really mirrored in human decision-making, isn't it? Especially now, with so much information overload.
We rely heavily on what are called judgmental heuristics. They're just mental shortcuts. And while they are efficient, they do leave us vulnerable.
A primary example of this would be the shortcut that expensive equals good.
Yes. Consider the antique jewelry store owner. She priced a necklace at $250, but customers hesitated. They saw it as, well, too inexpensive.
So it must be low quality.
Precisely. It wasn't until the price was deliberately doubled to $500 and then reduced back to the original $250 that a buyer purchased it enthusiastically. The high price was the trigger for quality.
We even see this confirmed in lab settings.
We do. In one energy drink study, volunteers who were charged less for the drink, say 89 cents versus $1.89, they subsequently solved fewer mental puzzles.
Which solidifies that idea that the cost directly influences our perception of quality.
And this leads us to the perceptual contrast principle. It's simply the finding that the order in which information is presented can completely skew our perception of value.
How do compliance professionals use this?
Well, real estate salesmen often use setup properties. These are undesirable, overpriced houses they show you first.
So once you've seen that extreme, the house they actually want to sell you seems vastly superior by comparison.
Your eyes light up, as they say. The contrast makes the genuine property feel like an incredible bargain. It's all about that initial trigger.
And that reliance on shortcuts sets the stage perfectly for the first core principle, reciprocation.
This is a profound, deeply embedded obligation we all feel to repay what another person has provided.
The longevity of this rule is just remarkable. I'm thinking of the 1985 aid exchange between Ethiopia and Mexico.
A fascinating case. Despite Ethiopia suffering from widespread famine, the Red Cross sent $5,000 to Mexico City earthquake victims.
And this was because of a reciprocal obligation that stemmed from a small exchange that happened way back in 1935.
The debt lasted for 50 years. What's more fascinating is that this obligation can actually override personal feelings.
You mean the Regan study?
The Regan study. A subject named Joe gave an unrequested bottle of Coke to a participant. Later on, that participant bought twice as many raffle tickets from Joe.
And this was true whether they liked Joe personally or not.
The debt created by that unsolicited favor completely outweighed personal distaste. And that's the shocking part. The obligation to receive makes this rule so easy to exploit.
Because we're socialized to accept favors, professionals can introduce an uninvited debt, a free sample, for instance.
And that compels you, the recipient, to reciprocate, often with a much larger purchase. There's an old Japanese proverb.
There's nothing more expensive than that which comes for free.
Exactly. And this principle applies everywhere, even in high-stakes environments like politics.
A politician might receive a campaign contribution and genuinely dismiss the idea that it biases their decisions.
But the psychological burden of debt applies universally. It even resolves international conflicts. The public story of the Cuban Missile Crisis was about Kennedy's inflexibility.
But the declassified documents showed something else.
They showed a secret reciprocal exchange. The removal of U.S. missiles from Turkey and Italy in return for Khrushchev's removal of missiles from Cuba wasn't a win. It was a concession for a concession.
The ultimate application of this is the rejection then retreat technique. Some call it the door in the face.
A powerful two-pronged strategy. You make a massive request that you know will be refused, and then you retreat to the smaller actual requests.
This works because it engages reciprocity. Your retreat seems like a concession that they feel obligated to match.
And it also engages that perceptual contrast principle we mentioned earlier. It just makes the second request seem incredibly small.
This really helps to understand some puzzling decisions, like those made during the Watergate era.
Liddy's initial proposal was extreme. It involved call girls, kidnapping, $1 million. So when he retreated to a request for just $250,000 for a simpler scheme,
It seemed like a small, necessary concession that his colleagues felt they couldn't really withhold.
and importantly, the targets don't feel manipulated. They feel more responsible for the final arrangement because they helped negotiate it down.
Which makes them more likely to follow through and agree to future requests. So if reciprocation is about obligation, our next principle, liking, is much simpler.
Much simpler. We just prefer to say yes to people we like. And it begins almost immediately with physical attractiveness.
The halo effect.
Yes, the halo effect. Attractive people are automatically assigned positive traits: talent, kindness, intelligence, which makes them more persuasive. It's why sales training includes such rigorous grooming tips.
We also tend to comply more with people who are similar to us.
We do. We like people who are like us, and compliance professionals actively, well, manufacture this similarity.
How so?
It might involve subtly mimicking a target's body posture or their verbal style. Studies show that servers and salespeople who mimic get significantly better results.
Praise works too, I gather.
Praise is a powerful lubricant, even when it's hollow. Compliments, even shallow ones delivered by a computer program, increase liking and compliance. Our need for affirmation just short-circuits our rationality.
And while familiarity from repeated contact usually helps, like with online ads, if the contact is negative,
Hostility worsens. The powerful antidote to that is active cooperation.
like the jigsaw classroom technique.
Exactly. Students from different racial groups were forced to work together for mutual success, and it dramatically reduced hostilities. The good cop, bad cop technique works for the same reason. The good cop establishes themselves as a teammate.
The final factor in liking is association. We're influenced by an innocent connection with either good or bad things.
This is why ancient Persian messengers, who brought news of military defeat, were often slain. They were just associated with the bad news.
And marketers leverage this heavily. They link products to positive cultural trends, like putting the word natural on everything from hot dogs to cigarettes.
We also see the tendency to bask in reflected glory, or burging. This is where individuals connect themselves to external success.
Like sports fans saying, "We won" after a victory.
It's a crucial defense mechanism for people with a lower self-concept. They seek prestige from outside achievements.
Let's move on to analyze social proof. This principle states that we determine correct behavior by looking at what others think is correct.
We view an action as more correct to the degree that we see others performing it. It's why advertisers use claims like fastest growing or largest selling.
Cialdini notes that 95% of people are imitators, not initiators.
And this mechanism is so fundamental. You see it in fake online reviews or the salting of church collection baskets to create the illusion of consensus.
Social proof is strongest when we are uncertain. And that vulnerability can lead to some devastating situations involving pluralistic ignorance.
Yes, in ambiguous emergencies, bystanders fail to help because everyone is looking at everyone else for a cue.
And since nobody is doing anything, the group concludes, incorrectly, that no aid is needed.
The only defense here is to reduce that uncertainty. Victims must point directly at one specific person and give clear instructions.
You, sir, in the blue jacket, call an ambulance.
That act of singling someone out removes the ambiguity that causes the group to remain passive.
We're also most influenced by people who are similar to us. This is persuasion.
It is. It's why utility companies like Opower send out home energy reports that compare your usage to your neighbor's usage. We are driven to conform to our peers.
This principle can also drive mass phenomena, like the Werther effect or copycat behavior.
Following a highly publicized suicide, the suicide rate and even related fatal accidents increased dramatically in the area of publicity. The victims in those subsequent accidents often die 4 times faster than normal.
It suggests an intentionality driven purely by imitation.
And a truly dark illustration of this is the Jonestown mass suicide in 1978.
Moving the cult from San Francisco to remote Guyana created an environment of extreme uncertainty.
It forced them to rely almost exclusively on the social proof provided by one another. Jim Jones's masterstroke was creating a hostile, unfamiliar location that turned the group into a manageable herd,
There is also a major practical finding here known as the big mistake.
which is inadvertently normalizing an unwanted behavior just by talking about how frequent it is. In the Petrified Forest National Park, a sign showing 3 thieves nearly tripled theft.
It created social proof for the very behavior they wanted to stop.
A sign showing only a lone thief, conversely, reduced it.
And when current social proof is lacking,
Communicators can rely on evidence of trending support. This is future social proof. If you see others starting to conserve water, the trend itself becomes the persuasive factor.
let's move to the 5th principle, authority. This reveals our extreme willingness to inflict suffering when commanded by an authority figure.
The Milgram experiments documented this perfectly. Obedience is a valuable shortcut because we presume authority figures have greater wisdom and control.
But critically, we often respond automatically to the symbols of authority, not the substance.
Titles are a key symbol. Think of the rectal earache case, where a nurse administered eardrops to a patient's anus because of a physician's ambiguous abbreviation.
Just mindless deference to the title.
Mindless. Clothing also commands compliance. Studies show people in uniforms or fine business suits get higher compliance. And finally, trappings, like expensive cars, convey economic standing, which increases compliance.
So how do compliance professionals establish trustworthiness to leverage this?
They often argue slightly against their own interests first. They admit a minor flaw before citing a major strength. Like Avis's famous slogan, "We're number 2, we try harder."
Warren Buffett famously used this tactic.
He did. In a crucial letter to shareholders, he began by openly admitting a prior, particularly egregious error, acquiring a specific company to establish his own transparency and trustworthiness.
Which made his subsequent claims about the company's future strength far more believable.
So the defense against this requires asking 2 questions. First, is this authority a true expert? And second, how truthful can we expect them to be?
Which brings us to scarcity. This principle leverages the shortcut that less available opportunities are inherently more valuable.
And this is highly motivated by loss aversion. The finding that people are more motivated by the thought of losing something and by gaining something of equal value.
Professionals use 2 main tactics here. First, limited number, telling customers a product is in short supply.
Like on booking websites, only 2 rooms left at this price.
And second, the deadline tactic, informing you that if you don't act now, you will lose out on something of value.
And when our freedom is restricted, something called psychological reactance kicks in. It just increases our desire for the restricted item.
The Romeo and Juliet effect, where parental opposition just strengthens a teenage relationship.
Censorship is the same. Limiting access to information makes people want that information more and view it more favorably.
And scarcity is most potent under certain optimal conditions.
Things that have recently become restricted are valued more than things that were restricted all along. And we're also most attracted to scarce resources when we have to compete with others for them.
That competition drives irrational decisions.
Absolutely. Like Barry Diller paying a wildly excessive price for TV rights to a movie simply because he was in a bidding war against other networks.
So the defense against scarcity is to recognize that it creates an emotional arousal that clouds clear thinking.
That internal rush of excitement should be your cue to slow down. You have to separate the emotional urge to get the item from the objective merits of the deal itself.
Chapter 7 details commitment and consistency.
And the core idea here is that once we make a choice, we feel immense pressure, both internal and external, to behave consistently with that commitment.
It's another shortcut. It lets us avoid reevaluating decisions we've already made.
A very manipulative application is the toy sales trap. Companies advertise specific toys before Christmas, then intentionally undersupply them.
Forcing parents to buy substitute gifts.
Then, after Christmas, they re-advertise the original toys, compelling parents to buy them later to fulfill the initial promise they made to their children.
Initial commitment is often gained through the foot-in-the-door technique.
You start with a small, trivial request to get eventual compliance with a much larger one. In one study, homeowners who put a small card in their window were later 76% likely to agree to a huge, unattractive billboard on their lawn.
The initial small commitment changed how they saw themselves.
But the most sinister application has to be the lowball tactic. Car dealers are famous for this. They offer an amazing deal.
get you to commit, fill out the paperwork.
And then they remove the original inducement, citing some math error. They rely on you having already generated new, self-justifying reasons to maintain the commitment you made.
That interchange grows its own legs.
It does. Homeowners who conserved fuel for public praise continue to conserve, and even increased it after the promise of praise was taken away. They changed their self-image to energy-conscious citizens.
Finally, we turn to unity, the newest principle. This goes beyond liking.
It does. People are inclined to say yes to someone they consider one of them, not just like them. Unity is about shared identity. The idea that we is the shared me.
Kinship is the ultimate form of this.
It is. Warren Buffett leveraged this when he told shareholders, "I will tell you what I would say to my family today," creating a sense of kinship unity to increase trust.
Locality also creates this bond. The Obama campaign used local field offices for neighbor-to-neighbor contact, recognizing that creates a powerful we-ness.
Acting together also promotes unity, especially through synchrony and rhythm, like speaking in unison or singing along to music.
Music is highly effective because it bypasses rational thought.
It moves the interaction to a state where harmony and unity are prioritized, and groups bonded through shared adversity or struggle also increase solidarity.
One last tactic is co-creation.
Simply asking for advice is effective. Participants who gave advice to a restaurant later rated it more favorably because it created a togetherness state of mind.
So, to synthesize this entire analysis,
The 7 principles: reciprocation, liking, social proof, authority, scarcity, commitment and consistency, and unity all function as powerful automatic triggers or shortcuts in our decision-making.
and the accelerating pace of modern life, with its information overload, increasingly forces you to rely on these shortcuts.
While these mechanisms are often efficient, they do make us uniquely vulnerable to anyone who knows how to subtly exploit them.
The challenge then is to maintain a thoughtful, fully considered decision-making process amidst that constant pressure for an automatic response.
The real question for you is, how many decisions have you already made today because someone, somewhere, pressed one of these 7 fundamental buttons?
We highly recommend reading the book Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, to gain full mastery and defense against these powerful psychological mechanisms.
We encourage you to subscribe to this detailed analysis and engage with knowledge.
Have a great day.